Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Jocelyn Blowfield. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Please sit if you can do so. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this National Memorial and Museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Thomas Leslie Debnam. Thomas Debnam was born on the 1st of July 1889 to Thomas and Margaret Debnam of Young in New South Wales. He grew up on his parents' property at Milkman's Creek with his brother and 3 sisters, and was educated at the Burrangong Public School. Tom went on to work as a labourer in the district and was described as a fine young stamp of a man used to plenty of outdoor work. Tom Debnam enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in December 1914, a few months after the outbreak of war. He underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving for active service overseas on board the troop ship Siang B in February 1915. Private Tom Debnam arrived on Gallipoli on the 7th of May 1915, about 2 weeks after the initial dawn landing. The 2nd Battalion had become split up and muddled with other units, reorganising and strengthening its defences in the days following. From the time Tom arrived, the 2nd Battalion was largely engaged in defending the shaky Anzac perimeter until the large-scale offensives of August. Its line repeatedly came under attack. It was a dangerous place to be. On the 21st of July 1915, the men of the 2nd Battalion noticed that they were being bombarded by a new kind of bomb, which was attached to a stick. They thought that it was being fired from a bow because the stick helped the enemy throw the bombs so far. These Turkish broomstick bombs continued to be launched at their lines through the evening. At 10:30 p.m, a broomstick bomb fell near the quartermaster's stall and wounded 2 men. Private Tom Debnam suffered from a compound fracture of the skull, which exposed his brain at the back of his head. He was carefully carried to the beach and onto a hospital ship, and from there he went to Malta for further treatment. It is doubtful that Private Thomas Debnam ever regained consciousness. 8 days after he was hit, at 5 a.m. on the 29th of July 1915, he passed away peacefully in hospital. He was buried at the Adorata Cemetery in Malta with full military honours, with 2 wreaths placed on his coffin. His grave today bears the inscription, "Not gone from memory, nor from love, but to our Father's home above." In Young, Tom Debnam's death was reported in the newspaper in an article which reads, "Private Debnam was a man the nation could ill afford to lose. He was strong both in physique and courage, and went forward willingly to do or to die, realising that it was his duty to help save this country from being trampled upon. His parents have given a noble son, but they have the consolation of knowing that they gave him in a cause than which none other could be greater." Tom Debnam had been on the Gallipoli Peninsula for 75 days. He died at the age of 26. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Thomas Leslie Debnam, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID, and we wish you all a very pleasant evening.